Earth had thrived as a member of the Interstellar Alliance, a jewel in the vast expanse, until the skies darkened with the ships of the Galactic Empire. In the high orbit, where satellites once peered into the cosmos, warships now loomed, casting long shadows over the continents. Commander Lucas Ward stood on the command deck of the United Defense HQ, watching screens flicker with the chaos unfolding. The Empire's forces descended, their weapons carving craters into the planet's surface, their troops spilling out like a plague. Lucas, with a steely gaze, directed Earth's defenses, issuing commands with a calm bred from years of conflict. The world's armies had prepared for threats, but not like this. Their technology, strategy, even courage seemed primitive in the face of the Empire's might. Lucas watched as his well-laid plans unraveled, his forces outmaneuvered at every turn. Despite their valiant efforts, the invaders pierced Earth's defenses with terrifying precision. In the war room, Lucas faced his officers, their expressions grim. It was clear that their current tactics were futile. He knew they needed a game-changer. "We need a new breed of warrior," he declared, his voice carrying the weight of their last hope. The room fell silent, understanding the gravity of his proposal. Humanity would have to delve into uncharted territory. To fight this new enemy, they had to evolve. As the sun set behind the burning horizon, Earth's fate hung in the balance. But in the hearts of those who survived, the will to fight endured, and in the mind of Commander Lucas Ward, a daring plan began to take shape. It was time to forge a new path, to create something the galaxy had never seen. The Super Soldier Project was born out of necessity, and with it, humanity's defiant stand. The war had raged for weeks, and Earth's defenses crumbled under the relentless assault. Humanity's armies were not equipped for this level of warfare. Commander Lucas Ward ordered a tactical retreat. It was a maneuver to save what remained of their forces, a bitter pill to swallow for the once proud nations of Earth. Lucas now found himself in the clandestine command center, buried deep underground. The place buzzed with hushed urgency, screens alive with data streams, while remnants of military minds gathered to hear his next move. He unveiled Project Titan to the room. This would be their Hail Mary, a program to develop soldiers beyond the limits of current human capabilities. But time was not on their side, and each moment wasted meant more lives lost. In the midst of strategizing, Dr. Ava Strauss entered. She was the architect of the genetic enhancement program that would be central to Project Titan. Her presence was controversial. Many military purists saw her work as meddling with nature, but Lucas knew her research held the key. Together, they faced the ethical considerations of their plan. To alter humanity's very essence was a monumental step, one fraught with moral complexities. But with each report of the Empire's advance, their options dwindled. Lucas's conviction was clear. "This isn't about playing God," he told his wary team. "It's about giving our species a fighting chance." Ava stood beside him, her resolve equally evident. The room, filled with the air of desperation and determination, gave their silent consent. The project moved forward at a breakneck pace. Volunteers, the bravest of the brave, were ushered in. Soldiers, scholars, athletes, all ready to become the vanguard of a new human legacy. As the first batch of candidates underwent the transformative process, Lucas watched. He could not help but wonder about the implications of their success. They were charting a course into the unknown, rewriting the very blueprint of human potential. Under the cover of darkness, the hope for Earth's future began to stir, a force that could stand against the might of the Galactic Empire. This was humanity's pivot, the point where they either evolved or faced extinction. Lucas's once unwavering confidence was now tinged with the enormity of their undertaking. In the shadows, humanity's next warriors were being forged, and with them, the fate of the planet. In the depths of a classified facility, the heart of Project Titan pulsated with activity. Fluorescent lights hummed above as Dr. Ava Strauss monitored the transformation of the first group of volunteers. Each subject was encased within a pod, serums coursing through their veins, rewriting their genetic code. Lucas Ward paced the observation deck, observing the birth of his battalion of superhumans. These men and women were to become the vanguard against the Galactic Empire. But as he watched their bodies convulse under the strain of alteration, doubt gnawed at him. The cost of this war had escalated beyond what he had ever imagined. Ava broke the silence, her voice a mixture of awe and trepidation. "The first phase is complete," she announced, her eyes never leaving the readouts. "They're more than soldiers now. They're our avatars of victory, The tone of her voice carried an undercurrent of fear, for even she could not fully predict the outcome of her work. The volunteers emerged from their pods, changed. Their physical forms were enhanced, muscles more defined, senses heightened. They moved with a grace that belied their newfound strength. Adam, the first to step forward, locked eyes with Lucas, a silent understanding passing between them. He was no longer just a man, he was the embodiment of their hope. Training commenced immediately. The super soldiers adapted to their abilities with alarming speed, their bodies as quick as their minds. Each day brought remarkable progress. Each night whispered worries of what they might become. Lucas and Ava pored over data, strategy, and combat simulations, the room around them littered with half-drunk coffee cups and scribbled notes. "We're on the edge of something monumental," Ava said, her voice tinged with exhaustion and excitement. But as the super soldiers grew in prowess, so did the whispers of concern among the ranks. These enhanced beings were powerful, yes, but at what point did they stop being human? Where did the line between soldier and weapon blur? Despite the success, unease settled over the project like a shroud. They had sought to create protectors of Earth, but in the shadows of greatness, uncertainty lingered. The line they had crossed was irrevocable, and the true impact of their actions remained to be seen. The first deployment of Project Titan's super soldiers was a clandestine operation, silent drops into enemy territory under the veil of night. Lucas Ward watched from the command center as his elite squad moved with precision, their enhanced abilities allowing them to dismantle key Empire outposts with minimal resistance. Word of these victories reached the scattered human resistance cells, igniting sparks of courage across the occupied lands. The once demoralized populace found a new vigor, rallying behind the tales of these almost mythical warriors who struck from the shadows. The super soldiers themselves were adapting to their roles as humanity's saviors. Among them, a leader emerged: Adam. His tactical brilliance and combat prowess were unmatched. However, with each mission, he grew increasingly distant, the weight of his transformation and the lives it cost to wield him as a weapon taking a toll. Lucas, while bolstered by their successes, felt the strain between the super soldiers and the regular humans they fought beside. A divide was forming, one that could fracture the fragile unity they had managed to forge. He and Ava often debated the soldiers' mental and emotional stability. These were not machines. They were men and women pushed to the brink. In one pivotal night operation, the squad ambushed an Empire convoy. The battle was swift, brutal, and an undeniable message to the invaders. Earth would not fall quietly. As they returned, the soldiers were not met with fear, but with awe and reverence from the human troops. The victory was significant, but Lucas knew the real battle was still to come. This war was more than territory. It was about the survival of their identity as humans. The super soldiers were the sword in the darkness, but their humanity was the shield that would preserve their way of life. Lucas watched as dawn broke, the early light glinting off the medals to be awarded to his brave fighters. In these quiet moments, he allowed himself a breath of pride. The uprising had begun, and with it, the first real hope of victory since the invasion. But even as they planned their next strike, Lucas understood that this was merely the calm before the storm. As Project Titan progressed, hidden fractures within the ranks began to surface. Adam, once the pinnacle of the super soldier program, started exhibiting signs of profound psychological strain. His incredible capabilities came at the cost of an increasing disconnection from his humanity. His actions became unpredictable, and during a critical reconnaissance mission, his judgment faltered, leading to unnecessary casualties. Back at the base, the fallout was immediate and severe. Lucas faced not only the ire of his own people, but also growing mistrust from the super soldiers who looked up to Adam. The project that was meant to be their salvation was showing its darker undercurrents. Dr. Ava Strauss, deeply troubled by Adam's deterioration, suggested they might need to consider decommissioning him. Lucas, torn between his duty to protect humanity and his responsibility to his team, hesitated. The tension escalated when an unknown entity launched a surprise attack on their facility. The base, shrouded in secrecy and guarded by the best technology and troops, was shaken to its core. The assault was sophisticated, hinting at a possible leak from within their own ranks. In the aftermath, Lucas and Ava scrambled to assess the damage. Among the chaos, they uncovered evidence of internal sabotage. It appeared that a mole within their organization had been leaking information to the Empire. The betrayal cut deep, not just into the strategic heart of their operation, but into the morale of the troops. With the stakes higher than ever, Lucas convened an emergency meeting. There, amidst the fractured group of leaders, he laid out the stark reality. They were at risk of crumbling from within before the Empire could even strike the final blow. Trust had to be restored, and security tightened. The internal strife within the ranks of Project Titan threatened to tear apart the fragile alliance that held humanity's resistance together. As Lucas and Ava sifted through the wreckage of the recent sabotage, they faced not only external enemies, but also the daunting task of rooting out betrayal from within their own ranks. The discovery of the mole in their midst had sent shockwaves through the base. Paranoia seeped into every interaction, every shared glance. Lucas, ever the strategist, knew that they needed to regain cohesion quickly. The project's integrity and the morale of their forces depended on it. Meanwhile, Adam's condition worsened. His erratic behavior and increasing detachment from human emotions alarmed his peers and superiors alike. Ava worked tirelessly, delving deeper into the genetic modifications that had enhanced him, seeking a way to stabilize his mental state without diminishing his combat effectiveness. Amidst these tensions, an unexpected crisis erupted. A group of super soldiers, led by a charismatic but troubled lieutenant, questioned the leadership's decisions and motives. They argued that the enhanced soldiers should have greater autonomy in operations, believing that the regular human commanders could not fully understand or utilize their capabilities. Lucas was forced to confront this dissent head-on. In a heated meeting, he faced the dissenters, asserting the importance of unity and command hierarchy. The confrontation was intense, with passionate arguments on both sides reflecting the deep divisions that had formed. At the same time, Ava discovered a potential breakthrough in her research, a modification that could potentially reverse some of the psychological side effects seen in the super soldiers. However, it required a voluntary return to the enhancement pods, a prospect not all soldiers were willing to embrace. The war with the Galactic Empire reached a new crescendo as Earth's resistance, led by Commander Lucas Ward and his cadre of super soldiers, prepared for what could be the defining battle of the conflict. The internal divisions had been painfully exposed, but with Ava's breakthrough in stabilizing the psychological effects of the enhancements, there was a renewed sense of hope. The possibility of reclaiming their planet now seemed within reach. As the super soldiers re-entered the enhancement pods to undergo the stabilization process, Lucas focused on fortifying the base and planning a massive offensive. The air was thick with anticipation, and the weight of responsibility pressed heavily on his shoulders. He knew this was their moment to either shift the tide in their favor or face utter defeat. The operation to infiltrate the Empire's local command center was set in motion. Adam, now somewhat stabilized but still volatile, volunteered to lead the mission. His unique abilities and tactical genius made him the obvious choice, despite the lingering concerns about his reliability. The team, a mix of enhanced and regular soldiers, moved out under the cover of darkness, their movements a symphony of precision and stealth. Meanwhile, Lucas and Ava monitored the progress from their command center, every heartbeat stretching into eternity as they awaited the outcome. The mission was perilous, involving hacking into the Empire's communications network to disrupt their command structure and gather crucial intelligence. As the team progressed, they encountered stiff resistance but managed to push forward, their training and enhancements giving them the edge. Back at the base, a contingency plan was in place. Lucas had organized a secondary force, ready to strike at another key Empire facility, depending on the outcome of Adam's mission. This dual-strike strategy was risky, but necessary to ensure they capitalized on any advantage gained. As Adam's team neared their objective, they faced a critical challenge. The Empire had deployed a new type of defense system, one that seemed specifically designed to counter their enhanced abilities. The team suffered casualties, the first real test of their resolve and unity under fire. Adam, pushing through his limits, managed to disable the system with Ava's remote assistance. They breached the command center, securing vital data and sowing chaos in the Empire's ranks. The success of the mission was a turning point, sending ripples through the enemy's ranks and boosting morale among the human forces. Lucas, seizing the moment, ordered the secondary strike. This coordinated assault resulted in the capture of the Empire's regional arsenal, a massive boost to their resources and a blow to the enemy's operational capabilities. The chapter concluded with the resistance fighters returning to base, weary but victorious. Their successes had proven that humanity could not only defend itself against the might of the Galactic Empire, but also take the fight to the enemy. Lucas and Ava shared a moment of quiet satisfaction, aware that the war was far from over. But for the first time, victory seemed more than just a distant dream. This moment of triumph, however, was tempered by the losses they had endured. Each fallen soldier was a stark reminder of the cost of this war. Lucas knew that the final battle loomed on the horizon, and while they had won this round, the Empire would not take this defeat lightly. They had to prepare, for the Empire would come at them with everything it had. With newfound momentum and crucial enemy data in their possession, Lucas and the Resistance prepared for what they knew would be the final confrontation with the Galactic Empire's forces on Earth. The stakes were higher than ever, but so was the morale among the humans and super soldiers, bolstered by their recent victories. Lucas stood before his assembled forces, projecting a calm determination. "Today, we reclaim our home," he declared, his voice echoing across the ranks of determined soldiers. They responded with a resounding cheer, their spirits ignited by the promise of freedom. The plan was bold and multifaceted. Lucas intended to launch a simultaneous attack on multiple fronts, using the intelligence gathered to exploit the Empire's newly exposed weaknesses. The main assault focused on the central command hub of the Empire's Earth operations, a heavily fortified installation near what was once a bustling metropolis. As the battle commenced, Lucas remained in the strategic command center, coordinating the movements of his troops. Ava, too, was there, monitoring the condition of the super soldiers, ready to provide medical and technical support as needed. The Resistance forces advanced with precision, their actions honed by months of relentless struggle. Adam led one of the main thrusts, his squad carving a path through the enemy's defenses with brutal efficiency. The enhancements, now stabilized, allowed the super soldiers to perform at their peak, turning them into the vanguard of the assault. Meanwhile, other teams carried out sabotage missions on the Empire's communication arrays and supply depots, further throwing their operations into chaos. The Resistance's guerrilla tactics, a stark contrast to the formal battle strategies of the Empire, proved devastatingly effective. The battle raged throughout the day, with every inch of ground fiercely contested. Casualties mounted on both sides, but the human forces pressed on, driven by the promise of victory and the return of their planet. As night fell, the tide began to turn decisively in humanity's favor. The central command hub was breached, and Lucas's forces flooded in, overwhelming the remaining defenders in a final, desperate push. The scene was chaotic, the air filled with the roar of gunfire and the cries of the fallen. In the midst of the chaos, Lucas received the transmission he had been waiting for. The Empire's regional commander was willing to negotiate surrender. With a heavy heart and a weary soul, Lucas agreed to meet, dictating the terms of Earth's liberation. The negotiations were brief and tense, with Lucas asserting the terms of unconditional surrender. The Empire, faced with the collapse of their Earth operations and the spirited resistance of humanity, had no choice but to comply. As dawn broke over the battered landscape of Earth, the formal surrender was signed. The war was over. Humanity had reclaimed its home, not just through the might of their arms, but through the indomitable spirit of its people. Lucas walked through the ruins of the command hub, now quiet. He reflected on the cost of their victory, the lives lost, and the future that lay ahead. Earth was free, but it was forever changed. As he looked up at the stars, now a symbol of both threat and opportunity, he knew the journey of humanity was just beginning. The reclamation of Earth was not just a victory, it was the first step toward a new, uncertain future as a stronger, united species ready to face whatever challenges the galaxy held.